Hello everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Happy Friday to you. Hope you're having an amazing day. Thank you so much for joining me here. It is an amazing day in general, right? I mean, how can we complain when we see Matic up 20%, hitting all of our profit targets, and of course, even more importantly, traditional markets actually breaking even and Bitcoin doing fairly well today. I mean, we peaked up around 21,300. That was really awesome and just great to be able to see these types of things happen. So, again, congrats to all my community members. I want to kind of highlight a couple of positive things just before we get started. So if you are new to the channel, keep in mind, my goal is to help you become a better trader, and I truly do love helping people become just better financially and living better financial lifestyles. And in that regard, I actually have a message from one of my members I woke up to this morning. It filled my heart with joy. So I just want to kind of share that with you so you can kind of see some of the awesome stuff that I get on my end to be able to benefit from with this community that we have. So first of all, kind of summarizing here, basically it says, Cash, just want to say thank you, God, for showing me your YouTube videos on my YouTube recommended 2 years ago. So thank you again. Obviously, I will not disclose the person's name, but thank you, of course, for just being such an amazing part of my life for the last 2 years. I mean, I started the channel in April of last year, and essentially it's obviously benefiting you. And he was just 16 when he joined, and to be fair, none of it made sense in the beginning, but he knew if he stuck with it, it would stick. He says, my life has changed since starting trading. I've been able to support my family. We haven't had much since our family comes from a little town in Mexico, but I've been able to give my parents and siblings thousands since I started trading, and I'm just a little brother. It feels so great to be able to help out, but none of this would be possible without you, Cash. You really impact lives out here. God bless you for everything you've done. So I can just say that fills my heart so much with joy that I'm eternally thankful and super happy, and you're so very welcome. So I deeply appreciate you reaching out and letting me know that, because it's nice to know that there is benefit there. Speaking of benefit, obviously you want to become a community member. CryptoCash.tech is a website. We've got over 200 active members, closer to 250 now at this point. In fact, we grew by, I think, 3 or 4 since yesterday's video. So a lot of folks are coming over to kind of benefit from that. And here's part of the benefit, just kind of throw it out there. We've got some really awesome stuff here. Of course, we got some older trades coming through with Bitcoin, some older targets. But we take a look here, of course, one day in 20 hours, we took 50% from Bitcoin. That was the CPI, or sorry, the Fed meeting, basically a gamble that we took. It paid off. Same thing with Ethereum as well. We hit 83%. But here's the one I want to show you. Outside of this, of course, BNB, we took 142% in 2 months. So it helps to be patient and to see the big picture. Again, we have a bear market strategy that we're using right now, and it works fantastic. But 2 months later, we took some decent profits there from BNB. But here's the one I want to celebrate, of course, because obviously this is a review of Matic, and what we did is we took 161% profit in 10 hours. So as soon as I finished the video yesterday, sent out a signal to my community members, and of course we took all the profits with that trade itself. Because if you rewind and take a look here, this is basically what the trade setup looks like. It was a cross leverage 20x long. We took entry at 95.3 cents, and we hit all 5 profit targets in 10 hours. Okay, so again, those are things that you kind of benefit from in the community here, and I just can tell you that it's phenomenal, the results that we're seeing. I mean, take a look at all these profits that everyone's hitting consistently over and over and over again. And again, it's just being part of something greater. So again, thanks so much for joining me, and obviously, being part of this journey here. It's been fantastic, and I'm looking forward to years to come, right? So here, let's go ahead and take a look at Matic and just kind of throw some things out there. First of all, you know what? One very last thing too. I got to throw this out there as well. King's Cup Global Invitation. Please register for this if you're part of my community, because it's absolutely a super huge benefit. I think we've got 5 team members here signed up so far, or 4 if you include myself. We need 11 to be able to get to qualify to be able to fight for for some really high ranking stuff, and tremendous amount of Bitcoin available for that. So be sure to check that out. Use the link in the description below. You won't regret it. Bitget is a phenomenal exchange. I truly do like them a lot. My favorite by far. I'm a Bitget fanboy. Sorry about that if you've heard it over and over again as a community member. All right. So with Matic here, looking at the daily, one thing we would need to recognize is that it's obviously overextended, right? So we gotta understand that Can it go much further? Yes, absolutely it can. Should it go much further? Probably shouldn't, at least as far as, if we want to maintain the price action that we're at right now, we want to be able to allow for it to stay in place. So what we're hoping for, I'd like to see a consolidation closer to 110. That's basically the level 2 for the Fibonacci retracement, and essentially, telling us that's kind of where we're at. Now, what we could do is, add a couple more, Fibonacci retracement levels here and kind of see roughly how much further it could go, because we're getting rejected tentatively at the 2.272. That's $1.13. So my speculation is we're going to consolidate between 110 and 113. It's a strong likelihood. So just keep that in mind. That's a possibility. You know what? We'll just go ahead and leave those up there for now. And then, big picture as well. If we take a look at the RSI, if I recall correctly, we weren't overextended yesterday, but we are now, obviously. So we broke clean through 70 on the RSI. So what that's probably going to do for us is we're going to likely see this consolidation happen right there at the support of 70 and potentially another bounce. Now again, this is all strictly hypothetical, but typically when you come up over 70 and you break it hard on the daily, it's going to work as a support level moving forward. Okay, as long as the volume can maintain itself, and there's no shortage of volume last 24 to 48 hours. So if we can get the volume to continue to maintain itself, especially throughout this weekend, that'll be interesting to see, then we have a very strong likelihood of doing that. Or maintaining the price higher. Another thing to recognize too is Bitcoin dominance is down by a full 1%. We're down at like the 40% range. We get down closer to 35%, we're going to be seeing some major altcoins surging. So it's going to be kind of cool to see that happen, and I think that we're on the horizon for that. But again, time will tell. So for the most part, the daily still looks good, even though yes, we're overextended. We could very well see further upside. I would be I would be remiss if the price dropped like a rock. I don't think we're going to see that. There's a tremendous amount of support. Once again, the most support that we have is in the 105 to 106 range. And then obviously the secondary support would be 110. This one still is getting tested when you think about it because the one-day candlestick hasn't closed yet. So we need to recognize that. Also, if you look at all the moving averages, you can just see that the 20, as I mentioned previously, is typically going to be a trend setter. So it's going to come up here and set the trend. So until we break below the 20-day set moving average, we should be in good shape to continue to maintain this price point. All right, so mostly positive here in that sense. Once again, overextended, but not terrible. Keep in mind also, if tomorrow is another green day, it should likely be followed by a fourth red day. I try to teach this to my community members as much as possible. Candlestick patterns have a tendency of repeating themselves, and they oftentimes will be very, very accurate. And what I mean by accurate is like if you see candlestick patterns forming, in my opinion, there's usually about a 70% probability, especially with 3 white soldiers, that you're going to see a fourth red day the day following. We saw this recently with Bitcoin. I called that out previously, and it's such a normal candlestick pattern that makes perfect sense because again, you're overextended for 72 hours straight. How can you expect it to continue to maintain itself? Well, let's find out here on Matic here as well if this overextension is one that's going to hold or if kind of we're maxed out here. Because here's the thing, right here before it took off, we took entry right in this range here. You can see that there was a good amount of consolidation here. We got a reset on TD sequential. So we came up to a 5, got a reset. Once again, it came down to bounce off that key level support there at 95 cents, as I'd mentioned previously. And then, of course, it continued to bounce further. So Matic is doing fantastic, but you got to keep in mind, unless we get further consolidation at this area, the next leg up will essentially it won't be able to maintain itself. Okay, because again, good consolidation leads to that effort, and this is ultimately what we're looking for. We want a good, healthy staircase pattern. So it will be able to go up again if we get enough time in this range. Okay, so we are right here between 110 and 113. If we can continue to consolidate in that range for another 24 hours, I think the next leg up is very possible. Let's take a quick look at some other things too. And you got to keep this in mind when RSI is up over 70 on the 4 hour, that's a different story altogether. We want it to relax and calm down. So if all goes well, I want to see the RSI come down closer to 50. I don't think we're going to see that though. It has such momentum that is probably a strong likelihood we'll see the price action stay above 70 because it can again oftentimes work as a support. It's just less likely to do so on the 4 hour because the 4 hour time frame is a transitionary time frame and it's a faster moving average, if you will, and it allows for it to calm down a little quicker. Now, if we take a look at the MACD, we are starting to see somewhat of a dissipation, so to speak, and then what that basically just implies is that it should be calming down for a little while. So again, The speculation is that the price, as long as it consolidates a little further, and it should go up. But we got to keep in mind too, it's been up for a while, and it would make a lot of sense for it to come down a little bit first, right? In fact, we almost want it to come down. I would love to see it come down and bounce off of this 104, 105 range to allow for it to bounce off right at that support level. Because again, that was a previous resistance and we blasted straight through it. So in turn, I think that's going to work more so as a support. Okay. So again, if the price were to come down and lose this support level at 110, just know we have a very strong volume support at 105/106, right in that range. You could even just say 104 to 106. That little range here is essentially a golden, some call it a golden pocket. I just call it a key level support. So at this point, we're looking pretty darn good there in that sense too. So the 4-hour is overextended, but it's also healthy and continuing upwards in a very steady manner. Okay, and that's really important. So again, TD sequential tells us we're at a 5. If we get a good clean reset here soon, we should be in good shape to see the next leg up, perhaps even this weekend. Again, most signs still point up because this is a momentous trend. And you got to recognize that momentous trends will oftentimes continue for 3 or 4 days sometimes. And we're only about 2 days into this. There's a great chance we could see one more day of leg up. Just note, if we get a green day today or tomorrow, or just say a third candlestick on the daily that's solid green, you can expect to pull back from there. The 4th red day makes perfect sense just based on the fact that you cannot, in most cases, go upwards of 72 hours of continuation in the same direction. It's very rare for it to continue that way. Taking a look, of course, at TD sequential on the hourly, we were right around this range here when we took our trade, and essentially I was super happy to see the price come down and bounce off this area. When it did, essentially, what we're looking at is a nice little reset here. We got a 7 on the TD sequential, kind of giving us that indication that, hey, we might get a slight pullback, a little rejection there. Then, of course, what do you know, takes off again. So we came up to another 8. So it's hit roughly 2 8s in a row if you consider this consolidation period. So in a sense, that's a very positive sign telling us that this coin has a tendency of maxing out its potential runs each time it does it. So hypothetically, the next run, if there were to be one, should be another 8 on TD sequential. So what we need to kind of look for is overextensions and kind of find out if this is going to continue much further. But at this point, I can tell you that we're looking fairly healthy in the overall sense of things because, again, we got this nice staircase pattern where the price action is consolidating within Fibonacci retracement levels and then likely legging up to the next stage. Okay, so again, the probability of further upside I feel is higher than it is lower, but it's not definitive yet. And again, you truly don't have a definitive direction that the price is going to go, but you have key level supports and resistances that are, when you have volume accumulation at those levels, that helps you kind of get a better understanding of what direction it's going to go. That's what happened yesterday, of course, before I took the trade, and obviously here today we can see a nice amount of consolidation right in this range. So 110 does feel like it's going to hold as a support. Just know if it doesn't, 104 to 106 is a very healthy stage here and a good place for the price action to bounce if it were to. Okay, so looking very good there. Let's go ahead and check one last thing, of course, and this is coming, the Ichimoku cloud. Big surprise, we're killing it here at this point. Conversion line's way above the baseline, essentially just telling us we have that momentous uptrend. We saw that on the moving average convergence divergence, the MACD on the 4-hour, and then of course lagging span hasn't intersected with the price action. So if you have a long position open right now, you want to keep it open until it either does one of two things, until this conversion line, the lagging span intersects with the price action. We got about 12 hours before that happens. So if the price doesn't leg up in the next 12 hours, then you want to consider taking some profits. Same thing happens here as well with conversion line. If that intersects with the baseline, that's a sell signal too. Furthermore, we've also got, of course, the upper and lower lead for the cloud. So hypothetically, and this is what's great about this, the price action goes sideways for a little bit longer. This will work as a support level here at 110 and leg up again. So that's kind of reaffirming the fact that we have a support at 110. But again, we need the price action to move sideways for a little bit longer and to be patient and wait for confirmation. Again, I try to teach patience. It's very difficult, and I can tell you it's not for everyone. But if you can wait for the right opportunities, yes, you're going to miss some opportunities, but you're going to have a much better experience. I think it's much more worthwhile. That's just me personally. All right, very last thing I want to kind of show you here is, of course, just yesterday, when we took our trade, the price action was right here for the lagging span, and it hadn't intersected with the price action yet. So the great thing about that is that gave us the indication that, hey, a long position seems very viable considering the fact that we're bouncing off this support level twice, and there's a strong chance it's going to leg up, especially with a handful of other factors. And if you want to understand generally what that's going to look like or why I took the trade yesterday, watch my video from yesterday again, and you'll see exactly the reason why, because it's really simple. It's one of those breakout type of patterns, and obviously I labeled the video breakout for a reason, because it was ready to explode, and obviously it did. So again, super cool stuff. It doesn't always happen this way. Don't get wrong. This isn't like this is a pretty perfect situation, but things like this are going to occur consistently throughout trading, especially in cryptocurrency. So I just hope that you can remain patient and optimistic. Heaven forbid you took some losses recently with some shorts. Be very careful shorting in markets like these right now when altcoins are surging. You're much better off waiting for a long and buying the dip. So worst case scenario, if it continues to dip further, you can ride out the storm because, again, there's less risk involved in a long position than a short. So if you're going to be using leverage, isolated shorts would be appropriate, so that way you get liquidated at 100%, just in case the price were to continue upwards, because there's no limit as to how high the price can go, but there is a limit to how low it can go, which is why shorts are much more risky. So please understand that. Trade carefully and cautiously, and also, be positive too. You got to make sure you're in the right state of mind to trade. And again, I think that's important. So if you are part of my trading community, make sure you check out Chapter 7 in my Academy videos there to ensure that you understand risk management a little bit more effectively. I think it's probably the best chapter you could memorize because I talk about emotional trading and things to kind of avoid, things to kind of help you get back on track if you take a big loss. It can happen. I've taken plenty in my day too. I mean, lately, no, not so much. We're at about like an 80-85% success rate lately in the last 6 to 12 months for our community. So keep up the good work, guys. Appreciate you. Guys and gals, of course. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Sorry this was a little bit long of a video, but I just wanted to make sure to kind of reiterate a few things here. Matic, to summarize, looks very healthy, and there's a great chance we should see further upside. Got strong support at 110 and the 105 range. So if we do lose 110, keep in mind, we're likely pretty safe at the 105 range. That to me would be the next long. If we were to see the price come down to 105, I'm going to probably take another long position there. That's my goal there. All right, well, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for your time. See you in the next one.